Sustainability could mean different things to different people. It could be environmental, it could be family, and it could be sustainable like with some areas and not in others. Sustainability is just kind of a buzzword, and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it does.
I wanted to be sustainable. So if the world were to change tomorrow and I couldn't get an item, it would not stop my farm. Like if I can't get some input because it's from Chile, for example, well, no big deal. I can still farm, you know?
I don't think of it as being small. What it means is a good source of healthy food for ourselves and the community. It means a way of educating people regarding healthful use of foods, taking risks, growing things that no one knows about, good foods that are international foods that no one knows how to prepare. They don't know what value it is to them for medicinal or nutrition. But it takes a lot of work to prepare fresh vegetables and stuff like that for a meal. It's so much easier and in some ways cheaper to buy the ready-made stuff and just heat it up in the microwave or whatever. It's a matter of economics, it's a matter of education, and it's a matter of time.
We have 17 alpacas, and they produce. We bred almost all of these girls. This one coming is a recent acquisition a couple of years ago. She's a strange little girl. She's very nervous. This is Chaska. He's kind of in charge of this group. Hi, Chaska. Hi. You're going to come in now. Here you are. All right. Don't show off. Get down. Thank you. A lot of these are family groups. We got mothers and daughters and mothers and sons and no, Chaska. Chaska, no, inappropriate behavior. My husband does the chores in the evening. It's a good break from working in an office. Come up and feed all these animals because we have 17 alpacas and we have 6 horses. I allow a lot of wild things to grow. But you know, the reason it works like this so well is that soil is perfect for plants. We're not doing anything. Even harvesting, I'm only cutting them. I'm not uprooting them. We try to do as little uprooting as we can.
This is what Jason's been doing. He's the guy I told you about who wants to be a farmer. He's a hard worker, putting in a lot of time. I think one of the keys to being successful at this is to keep it small.
So I was in the Navy for 6 years, and I got some training in electronics. So since 2005, when I've been out of the Navy, I pretty much went from one job in electronics to another because I was trying to make a fast buck, basically, to get a bunch of capital together to start a farm. Came back up here and started farming right away. I started a sustainable agriculture course online. Briefly before that, I went to Denver to learn how to grow sustainable agriculture and controlled environment agriculture. So learning how to work in a greenhouse, basically. And that was how it began. It's just a simple course that I got through a veterans organization called Farmers of Veterans. They're a great organization out of Denver. This will help what's underneath this tunnel from being eroded. So it's a water conservation project. I came into farming recently, and I am middle aged. So I was living in the area, so it made sense to learn from the farmers that are in this area. Met Steve and John at the farmers market, and talked with them and found out that they were looking for somebody to farm with. They don't use any chemicals or any non-natural inputs. So they're organic. They were organic before organic was a thing. You know what I mean? Like, they've just always been organic.
Get all kinds of people like at the farmer's market, customers, and they said, oh, you know, this lettuce, whatever, has a hole in it. I'm like, eat around the hole. I said, that tells you that it's good. You know, the insects wouldn't eat it if it wasn't good.
These methods that I use now have fancy new labels that people like to organic and natural. I mean, like, oh, like this is something new. This is not new. This way of growing things is the oldest way there is of growing things. Before there were chemicals, and before there were tractors, and before there were anything but digging sticks and stones. So it's just going back to a much simpler way, which I think, because the soil stays healthy this way, you can produce a lot more in the same amount of land. We've always known we were losing topsoil, but I've always known that if you don't feed the soil, your plants can't be fed. And I don't mean open a bottle and dilute it by the proportion it says on the label and dump it on. That's never been the way to go. I've never done things that way. When I learned to garden, I was 4 years old. My mother had taught me to go out into the woods with my little bucket and my shovel and scrape off the leaves, and underneath it there's a layer like this. It's called leaf mold, and it's that brown, crumbly, dark stuff. And she said that's your fertilizer. That's all the plants really need, both indoor and outdoor plants. And that's what we used to do. We used to collect the leaf mold. What I didn't know at the time was that leaf mold is not just full of nutrients, it's full of life. When I first got here, I added a garden every single year that I was here for about 10 years. And then I realized I couldn't keep up with it. And that was a field before it was a garden. So the field is trying to reassert itself, which is what nature does. If you don't do otherwise, you'll just fill up all the spaces with some happy conglomeration, and it will be a meadow again. Plantain is this weed, in quotation marks. This is plantain. And they particularly grow where nothing else is growing because the soil is so compacted that most plants can't grow here. And the plantain has solid roots, and it pushes through that compaction and helps to break it up. But I didn't know until recently how medicinal it is. So if I got stung by a bee, I would run and find a leaf of plantain that hasn't been not too dirty and just chew it and smush it on that bee sting. It will take the sting away and help it heal. It draws out the poison. You can use them as band-aids. You could make a poultice out of the chewed up leaves and slap one of these wet ones on there and just hold it, and the swelling goes down, the poison comes out, and it heals like immediately. You can also put this in salad because it's got lots of nutrition. Just you want to look for the ones that haven't been stepped on too much. But this one's clean.
As a aspiring farmer, I'm like, how do you guys grow? Do you use chemical inputs? Are you conventional? Are you organic? They're all pretty open. I think everybody thinks the ideal situation is you buy a farmhouse with some farmland and then you start making a farm. That's true to a certain degree, I think, for all of us, but I had to think outside the box because I didn't have a lot of capital to buy a farm. I didn't have a lot of experience to farm, and so here I have the farm and the experience is like right next to me. Like I can just ask Steve and John what they would do, or and then there's a lot of farmers that I met in this area. I do that with them pretty heavily. Like the disasters are all mine, but what's working is probably because I've asked somebody how to do it. This is a pretty good farming community. I would say that they're less likely to compete and more likely to cooperate or work together and help each other. For me, I don't feel that they're trying to keep me out of the market. I feel that they're trying to help me stay in the market.
The farmer's market is more than just a place to buy and sell stuff. It's become a real social event. People look forward to Saturdays to go and meet with people that they haven't seen before and stuff like that.
I'm really fortunate right now at this stage. I'm really keeping my waste to a real minimum. So I eat just about everything that doesn't get sold at market. And if what I don't eat or what has spoiled or has gotten abused because it's been traveling at a market or sitting out in the hot sun or whatever, The chickens and ducks eat a good amount, but I would say that's less than even what I eat. So they don't eat half of what I don't sell. And but that's easier, I think, as a small farmer. If I can just translate that amount of waste and keep it level or reduce it as I grow, I would think that would make me a successful farmer. There's a lot. It's like, I don't know the numbers or who to quote or whatever, but it's like 50% of what goes into the field is thrown away before it even gets to the consumer. Like about half of it's gone. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be part of that. I want to be part that moves the needle towards the reducing it. Part of what I do differently than some people is I don't till. So that makes some of my weed challenges a little more unique than what other people do. So it's a little harder to manage weed pressure if you don't just chop them up. But I think it makes my farm more sustainable because now I don't have to add as many inputs to my farm. And I think the more inputs you add to your farm, the less sustainable you are. Like potting mix or compost or fertilizer. Soil health is important, and tilling sometimes is not going to hurt your soil health overall. But tilling too much will hurt it. But I think less is more, so till less, and you're going to get wonderful food with less inputs from outside the farm. All farmers are trying to do it. Doesn't matter if they're conventional or whatever. They want to do more with less inputs. So I just take it to maybe a little more of an extreme.
The deleterious effect of plowing and tilling and just this constant over and over again disturbing of the soil releases more carbon into the atmosphere than all of our vehicles combined. Because under the soil, that's carbon sequestration. All that fungal matter, the huge web of fungus that is supposed to remain undisturbed. When we disturb it, we just we're sending all this carbon up into the air.
It's hard to make a living out of farming. You have to be so many things. You have to be a farmer, you have to be a business person, you have to be a lawyer, you have to be a veterinarian. You have so many different things that come into being a farmer. People don't realize that.
You never hear agriculture come up in political conversations. I think partly because they don't understand how complex agriculture is. They just throw up their hands and don't even talk about it, kind of forgetting about the fact that everybody needs to eat. And we need to do a lot more than we're doing now to make sure that the planet can sustain life. But it's not just about climate, it's about what we do with the land that we're on. It's about the tilling and about the plowing and about the paving over what used to be farmland to make an airport or to make another mall. Parking lots, there's nothing living under parking lots.
I do mostly what I do is wrong. So it's like, will I be able to learn fast enough to grow fast enough to maintain this farm and to be a sustainable farm? So, like, some days you have doubts, I think, and then other days you're like, ooh, you got the world by the tail, But it's a really good way to live, for sure. It's hard. Anything worthwhile doing it's just a worthwhile occupation. So I think if things are hard, then you're probably doing something you should be doing. It's a good way to look at life.
You're married to the farm, so to speak. So you have limited time off and time to do things. Almost every day you question whether it's worth doing stuff, but it's home. I have roots here. There's just a tranquility, if you will, coming in to eat and bringing the food with you. Having it grown right here and going down and having a fresh pear off the tree, being one with the farm.
But I think, like last night, I was up here planting at 7 o'clock at night. The alpacas were just kind of all milling around, and everybody was so quiet, and just all you could do is bird song. And planting out some snapdragons, and kneeling on the pathway and my hands in the soil. I just love that.